This is Democracy Watch. Mark, a few weeks back, we saw that Republicans had trained their attention on ActBlue, which is Democrats' grassroots fundraising platform. And obviously, their goal here was to basically starve Democrats of grassroots funding. Now it looks like WinRed, which is the Republican iteration of that, the Republican grassroots fundraising platform, might be on the chopping block, might have some attention trained onto it. Can you explain what happened here?
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing here is that three Democratic congressmen, Congressman Raskin, who is probably well known to your audience, very strong proponent of democracy, Congressman Morelli from New York, who is the ranking member on the House Administration Committee, which sort of oversees like elections and money in politics, and Jerry Conley, Congressman from Virginia. He's actually my home congressman. He recently announced he's retiring due to cancer. They wrote a letter to the Treasury Department requesting what are referred to as suspicious activity reports. These are essentially internal documents that the banking system and the Treasury Department generate when there are transactions that are going on in the U.S. banking system that are suspicious for one reason or another. And, and this is exactly the kind of thing that when Donald Trump went after ActBlue, this is among the things that was targeted ActBlue over.
Do we know specifically what launched this effort? What was it? Was it maybe Trump getting involved in these crypto spaces? Was it some foreign donor who was looking to basically exploit WinRed to funnel money into this administration? Do we know what it was?
So I don't know exactly what triggered this. I will say this. One of the things we've learned about Donald Trump and the Republicans is that whatever they accuse Democrats of is almost certainly going on with a much, much grander scale, right? So
Yeah.
like they think about what they accused Hunter Biden of, and now take a look at Trump's kids. Look at what they accused Joe Biden of and continue to accuse Joe Biden of, and then take a look at Donald Trump. I don't know exactly what they are looking at here, but WinRed is a platform that takes, that processes a large number of transactions, just like ActBlue. And there have been stories over, press reports and the like over the years that have looked at some of the tactics that are used on WinRed and whether they are savory or unsavory, whether they are misleading or not to consumers, to donors and the like. I don't know what it is, but one can guess that when you take the Republicans' when you take the Republicans' predilection to disregard the law, and you add in cryptocurrency, meme coins, and Donald Trump and his family, it's not a big leap.
Is it possible that by virtue of Republicans attacking ActBlue, now that you have this effort by Raskin, Morelli, and Connolly to really get WinRed in the same crosshairs, that they're tying the fortunes of the two entities together? And so the further that Republicans want to take their attacks on ActBlue, that further imperils the Republicans' own ability to be able to raise money through WinRed.
Look, the most sensible and even-handed thing to do, the thing that a normal prosecutor would do if they didn't have a political agenda, and you were going to look at ActBlue, and that's a big if, because honestly, I think that the instruction by the White House to the Department of Justice to look at ActBlue taints the investigation literally from the get-go. I think it makes it political. But if you were to engage in that investigation, you would have to look at WinRed, right? You'd have to do it not just because of fairness, of kind of tit for tat, but you'd have to do it because you'd want to understand what is normal. Right? You're being told that by Donald Trump, of all people, that ActBlue may be doing things that are abnormal or irregular or illegal. So you'd want to see, well, what does the other platform that processes a large number of political contributions, in this case, the Republican platform, what does it do? Does it look like it does the same things? Does it look like it does different things? And so I don't necessarily think it's tit for tat in the political sense, but it is, I think, highlighting the fact that Pam Bondi will almost certainly never look at WinRed, right? Pam Bondi is going to do Donald Trump's bidding from start to finish. And that means weaponizing against Democrats. I mean, in probably the most ironic self-own of the week was Donald Trump making Ed Martin the head of the weaponization of government task force, because of course he's perfect to weaponize government against the
Right.
Democrats, which is what Donald Trump really wants.
Well, you and I both know that even if Pam Bondi looks at ActBlue, she's not going to predicate any of her decisions on some fair investigation of ActBlue and WinRed. I mean, WinRed could quite literally do the exact thing that ActBlue is accused of doing, and she just won't look at it. And so, what happens in the event where the person whose job it is to uphold the law, which is Pam Bondi, to enforce the law, which is Pam Bondi and the DOJ, when they just decide not to do that, if it's any institution or person or company that is associated with the Republican Party? I mean, is there any recourse here when you have an attorney general who, for example, will be perfectly content to go after Democratic elected officials, but then you have a Republican like Corey Mills, and the DOJ won't even sign the certificate to make sure that that person is prosecuted because this is a Republican congressman?
Yeah, look, I think this is a really important point, and it is one of the great threats to democracy right now, is that if you look at the Department of Justice, it is playing three roles. Number one, it is defending whatever it is Donald Trump does, no matter how illegal it is. It is not there to
Right.
counsel him and tell him not to do things. It's not there to give him guidance about what he can't do. It is simply there to defend the indefensible. Whatever Donald Trump does,
Right.
it'll defend. The second thing it is there to do is to bestow favors to Donald Trump's friends. Right now, that could be pardons for January 6ers. It could be not prosecuting or refusing to open criminal investigations into Republican congressmen. But it is essentially a favor bestowing exercise. It is a way that Donald Trump can curry favor with, or, in the cases of some, maybe even, hold over their head, the criminal justice system. Look at Mayor Adams. Look at what he did with dropping the prosecution there. And then the third is the one you focus on, which is that he can use it to punish his enemies. And so he can use the Department of Justice to not engage in fair-minded investigations, but rather to engage in investigations that are aimed to punish his political opponents. And those are really three different things. And sometimes I feel like those get conflated, particularly the second and the third, but it is quite different to say we're not going to go after our friends than it is to say we're going to go after our enemies. But when you combine the two together, that's where you get this really, really, really combustible mix for democracy, where one side is allowed to violate the law with impunity, and the other side can't do anything that is viewed to be within the lines. So you just create this wild asymmetry, not where they're both breaking the law, but one's getting away with it, not where they're both following the law and neither is getting prosecuted, but literally where one can do anything and get away with it, and the other is going to be investigated no matter what they do.
Right, even if they do nothing. As it relates to Trump using foreign sources of funding or cryptocurrency, I want to play a clip right here that I believe is between Jonathan Swan and Trump on Air Force One.
An Emirati government backed did a $2 billion deal using the Trump digital coins. How did that deal come about?
I don't know anything about it. I really don't know anything about it, but I'm a big crypto fan, I will tell you. I've been that from the beginning, right from the campaign. I'm a believer in crypto, and if we're not going to do it, China's going to do it. It's the way I look at it. It's like AI. I'm a believer in AI because we have to have it. We're leading China by a lot. And in crypto, we're leading China by a lot. So I'm a big crypto
You didn't
fan.
know about that deal?
No.
So, Mark, we're again kind of in the same territory here, where clearly, I mean, if Trump is using his own crypto coins to launder foreign or illegal sources of funding directly to him personally in exchange for some broader quid pro quo, broader contracts or military protection or favorable trade deals, whatever it may be, and you have a DOJ and Pam Bondi that's not looking to prosecute any of this because, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil as it relates to Donald Trump, then what is the recourse here when you basically have just legalized corruption?
Right, that's the problem, right? And so look, when I was on 60 Minutes, I compared Donald Trump to a mobster. And time and time again, I always come back to the comparison to, I think it was Vinny the Chin, who in his later years would shuffle around the streets of Lower Manhattan wearing a bathrobe and slippers, muttering to himself. And the impression he was trying to give everyone was that had gone senile and suffered from dementia. The government's view was that that was all an act. And that he was, in fact, a very powerful crime boss. And when I see clips like the one you just said, I'm trying to figure out which it is. Like, is he just an exaggerated version of what Republicans keep accusing Joe Biden of having been? Like, is he just like a senile old man who doesn't know what's going on? Or is he the crime boss shuffling around the streets in his bathrobe, pretending that he doesn't know what's going on, while, in fact, he really knows that he's operating a crime family? Either way, it's not good. And either way, by the way, the legacy media is doing a absolutely horrific job. I mean, the fact that as you and I are recording this, the legacy media believes the great scandal is not the crypto stuff.
I know what you're going to say.
It's not Donald Trump taking a $400 million airplane in violation of the Constitution. It's none of that. It's that Democrats did not renounce Joe Biden fast enough, and that we are apparently now not willing to renounce him publicly enough. I mean, it is absolutely an outrage what the legacy media has become around this stuff.
You're completely right. We are at a moment right now where we are in the biggest corruption scheme in the history of the United States, and it may very well be the Western Hemisphere right now, where Trump is just has a meme coin that he's just allowed to legally just launder foreign sources of money by the millions or billions. He was handed a jet worth $400 million from Qatar that he's decided is going to be Air Force One before going to him personally. And all we're talking about right now from the legacy media, these folks who have the glossy veneer of democracy dies in darkness, is the fact that the guy who lost the last election, who lost back in November 6 months ago, is that we didn't talk, that we haven't had enough conversations about how he was in the throes of cognitive decline, while this guy is running roughshod over our democracy, ignoring blatant tenets of the Constitution, including the emoluments clause. And we can't talk about that because we have to go back to the both sidesism as it relates to Joe Biden. If you needed any clear indication of why independent media is so important in this moment, why Democracy Docket, which is the news outlet you founded, Mark, to focus on everything voting elections, why that's so important in this moment, and your YouTube channel that you started, also called Democracy Docket, where you have a voice on your own platform to be able to reach people directly, as opposed to needing all of these legacy media outlets to be the gatekeeper in terms of who gets to say what to who. Look, nothing underscores the need for all of those things more. So highly recommend for everybody who's watching right now, if you want to elevate voices like Mark's, who is actually speaking about the issues that matter, as opposed to these legacy media outlets that are just focused yet again on both sidesism and Joe Biden, while Donald Trump engages in blatant corruption, please make sure to subscribe to that channel. I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
I'm Mark Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.